Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well still. I have got an awesome bonus upload for you right now. Subscriber interview out of the great state of New York. Before we get into it, though, a couple links. As you all know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's bonus, shall we? All right, everybody, tonight I have a subscriber who shared in the comment section probably 4 or 5 days ago when I was talking about the creature that no one really has a name for, but he had an encounter with it. Robbie, how are you today?
I'm doing fine today. How are you, Jeff?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for taking some of your time out of your evening to come on and share this with everybody.
Yeah, of course.
I know that you had put it up and people were, pretty interested in what, you had to say. So I'm glad you reached out. I'm going to turn the floor over to you. That way you can kind of paint the picture of what happened and we can go from there. All right.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So it was in October about 2017. I was working at Olive Garden over near where I live in Horseheads. I was staying in Beaver Dams at the time. We usually got off work around 10 p.m. So I mean my brother-in-law and one of our friends, all three of us, we got together and we were headed back towards my house, and we were headed down a rural road. I don't know the actual name of it, but we had got about halfway between where we work and where we are home, and we turned a corner that had two fields on each side of the road. And as we turned that corner, we could see there was a herd of deer right there in the road. So we slowed to a stop because they were just standing there. And after a little while, some of them started parting out of the way, and we noticed one really large buck over on the right-hand side of the road. It seemed to be waiting for all the rest to get across, and when they finally did, it paused for a little longer. We didn't really think anything of it at the time, other than it was the biggest rack I've actually seen on a deer. I couldn't count it at the time.
Not to cut you off, but you're in New York. You live in kind of like Western New York. How is you mentioned fields, but woods wise, how are we looking for? Is there a lot of woods out that way, or?
Oh yeah, there's tons. Basically all that was around us besides those fields was woods.
Okay.
In this entire area. And it's just rural roads. So yeah, it's mostly forested on all sides, basically the whole way, besides some farmer fields.
Okay.
And it's about 5 miles, I'd say. So a bit of a distance with some woods in it. So
all right. Sorry to cut you off. I was just wanted to kind of paint a picture a little bit. So
yeah, man. No, if you got questions, go ahead. So as the rest crossed the road, this large buck, much larger than the rest of the deer, runs across the road, but it stopped just before the ditch, and we saw it literally stand up on its hind legs and just jump over the ditch and land on its hind legs, and it kind of just trotted a few, like probably 2-3 steps, and then went down on all fours, which at first I was like, fine, I can discount that, whatever. It was just a weird way it jumped, you know?
Right.
So we're going forward, and the deer start running alongside us, but as our headlights are about to pass this thing, it actually stood back up and started running almost like a person. I mean, its legs, arms, whatever you want to call it, they were trucking right alongside it like it was a jogger or something.
Was the front, so like the front was down like a human, like arms? Were they like hooves, or were there kind of hands?
They were still hoofed.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was really odd. And the other deer, you know, after talking about it the other day, I really thought about it, and I'm like, you know, the fact that all these deer are around it and don't seem threatened or scared, I mean, I don't know what I was dealing with there.
Yeah, that's really strange, because usually a deer would, you know, something out of the norm, it's going to frighten them because they're so skittish anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, at the time, you know, I couldn't tell if the deer were scared of it or not because they were already all running together, but they didn't seem to be trying to, you know, turn any different way away from what this was doing. They just seemed to be going the same direction right into the wood line right there.
Wow. That's friggin' insane. So it just, when it jumped, it like stood up and just jumped like a human, pretty much.
Yeah, like a person, straight up, like bent the knees and hopped over a pretty wide ditch. I'd say about 3 feet at least.
Okay.
And landed on its hind legs still. And
when it landed on its hind legs, did it land with balance, or did it lean forward?
Yeah, wow. Totally balanced.
Okay, holy shit.
Totally balanced, and ran like 2-3 steps, and then, I don't know, it was like it thought maybe it could run faster on its all fours, but decided after it couldn't and started really trucking on all hinds. It was just the weirdest thing.
Yeah, that's definitely. So after it crosses the field, it stands up again. And does it run alongside of you with the other deer, or is it running at you? Okay.
No, it was just alongside us, going straight, same direction as us.
Keeping pace with the deer.
Yeah, with the deer. They didn't trail off or anything. They just all went the same direction.
Wow.
And there was a wood line that, you know, was coming right up where we were, and once they hit that tree line, I don't believe they were following us still.
Right. Huh. And it was actually keeping pace with the other deer on 4 legs, and it was still on 2. So it was moving. It was going pretty at a good clip.
Yeah. It just seemed like maybe it was off when it tried to do it on all fours, but as soon as it got up on its hind legs again, it was right with them.
Is there anything else that you noticed out of the norm besides the abnormally large rack and it running on 2? Were the eyes different? Anything else different on this thing?
Honestly, the only difference would be its size. It was a lot larger, and then the abnormal size of the rack, and just the pristine condition this deer was in. I mean, It looked almost like it, you know, went to a groomer's or something.
Yeah, that's, I mean, jeez and crow.
Other than that, it literally just looked like a normal deer. That's why at first, you know, when it waited for all the rest, we didn't think nothing. We weren't trying to fly by, but once it stood up, I mean, my brother-in-law was kind of trying to speed up a bit.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like you said, when it first kind of jumped up, you can discredit that. I mean, but then maybe the first 2 steps, but running on all fours at a good pace and then standing up is something definitely abnormal, completely abnormal.
Yeah, I mean, it does it once, stands up, jumps fine, but when it does it twice and continues running, I don't think so.
And there was you, your brother-in-law, and one other person in the car that saw this?
Yeah, we had one other friend with us.
Wow.
he's the one. He won't talk to it about it at all to this day. My brother-in-law, he will though.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him, but so the crazy thing is there's been numerous reports in Canada of a deer man, like a deer man, that's what they call it. And people have seen it. It doesn't look like, it's almost exactly what you described. Hooved front arms and paw, like standing up, running, startling people, and it's a buck too. I mean,
Wow.
what would you say it weighed? I mean, just kind of a guess. More than any other buck you've seen?
Oh yeah, definitely. It had a lot of muscle on it. I mean, it was big. I couldn't tell you exactly how much, but
Okay.
definitely above average to any buck I've seen. And I've seen some pretty good sized bucks when I was hunting several years ago. Nothing like that though.
Now, when it stood up, I'm sorry to keep going back to when it stood up, but
No, you're fine.
The chest, was it still barreled or was it flat? You know what I'm trying to say?
Like, yeah, it was still barreled. It still looked like it had a normal deer's rib cage in front.
Huh.
But
wow.
Yeah, the fur was all the same, and it didn't have any spots where it didn't have fur or anything, and had a normal tail, a little thing at the back, it was a white tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually haven't even heard of this Canadian one that you're talking about.
What I'll do is I don't know how long you've been with me, but I did there was a small town, and I'll find the link to the videos and I'll send them to you so you can check it out.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Because this entire town, it was a small Canadian town, and we're not talking just, regular, the whole town pretty much, from the pasture of the church to a rail yard worker, housewife. A lot of people saw this thing. It wasn't aggressive, but I mean, when you see something like that, you're not going to want to go up and shake hands with it anyway. You're going to want to get the heck away from it as fast as possible, like your brother-in-law was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you see something that's obviously not normal, usually your first instinct is fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
To stop the car or anything, that's for sure.
Right. Right. Now, your friend, were you in the front seat?
Yeah, I was in the passenger seat.
So he was the other guy was in the back. What was he saying? Anything? What was the conversation like in the car after?
Well, basically, I just looked over at my brother-in-law and I was like, we all saw that, right? And he was like, yeah. And I looked back at Matt, and he literally immediately was like, I don't want to talk about it.
Wow. Yeah.
So, we kind of, he quieted down, but me and Brandon, or my brother-in-law, we were totally losing it,
Yeah.
We're like,
yeah, that's
we didn't know what to think. At first, to be honest, I'd never heard of a not deer or anything, so I immediately thought Wendigo, but it didn't have the features of one at all, so I didn't really know.
Yeah, the Wendigo is Reddit has really destroyed what a Wendigo is. There's a grandmother lived in a reservation up north by Cornwall, Canada, called the Aquasachie Reservation, and the Wendigo is my heritage, my native heritage, and Reddit really destroyed it with putting a deer head on it. It's really not what the creepypasta and Reddit community made it out. It looks nothing like that. And I'm just new to this not deer thing, but what you're describing to me, and after you listen to the videos, and I'll send you the link to a guy who actually wrote the accounts down of this town. I'll send you that too so you can check it out.
Yeah, that would be great.
because it's so similar to what you're describing. I mean, it's insane. Was it leading the way? Like, did it seem like this was the alpha of this little herd?
I would say it did act like the alpha, but I mean, it acted more kind of like a wolf. It stayed towards the back of everyone, like it was
Okay.
making sure everyone else got ahead. It wasn't trying to go ahead of them and lead them.
Huh.
That's why I figured if they were scared, they would have trailed off because it was pretty well behind them. I mean, keeping right up, but still behind them.
Did it run into the woods on two, or did it drop when it hit the wood line, or could you not see that?
I couldn't see it by that time.
Okay.
I just got the feeling it wasn't following anymore, and we didn't see anything the whole rest of the ride. But as far as our lights went, I still saw it up on two legs until we were completely past. And
That is truly insane. Now, when it was running, so I'm assuming it was not next to you, but pretty close. What would you say the speed you guys were going, and how fast was this thing running on two legs? Just so we can get a.
Well, we were stopped, and then he kind of wanted to get out of there, so we picked up to like 30, 40, and 50 pretty quick,
right.
And it seemed to be keeping close to pace with the car at about 35, 40.
So that's insane. That's faster than a human can run, so Jesus.
Oh, yeah. And, once we got up past that is when our headlights went past it, and I couldn't see anymore.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I had an encounter when I was young, and I mean, I saw what I saw when it came out of the woods and we were driving away. We had a pretty big scare when we were there looking at the woods, but I can't imagine how like your brain must have, because it's like you're thinking deer don't run like this, and then all of a sudden it just stands up like a person and just, I mean, like one jump, boom, okay, I can. But then when it stands up again as it's running, that would just completely spin my head. I can't imagine how you guys felt.
It's a complete reality shift, because then you're sitting there no longer able to say things like this don't happen.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of did.
Yeah, absolutely. And the craziest thing about it is, even though it didn't act aggressive towards you, that's still something that our brain doesn't comprehend. Like, we don't, like our growing up, we don't think of monsters. Monsters don't exist. But this thing is completely setting the bar for that. I mean, God, can you imagine being in the woods, a hunter seeing that thing coming at you? Or?
No, I wouldn't want to be. No. I mean, even if it was friendly, it's too off the wall.
Yeah.
I definitely would not have wanted to be out of the vehicle at that point, no matter what.
Yeah. I like how you described it acted like a wolf, or like the protector of the
yeah, like if I would have got out of the car and tried to go towards the herd, yeah, it probably would have protected them. And that's what I find very odd about it, because it didn't seem predatory, but it seemed intelligent.
Right. Which is, I mean, very interesting as well. And that's, something that should be made note of, because you've got this one creature kind of looking out. I'm thinking, I'm wondering how many of those things in that little herd could stand up, or if this was the only one that could,
Yeah, and that's another thing I thought of too. I mean, what if the reason it went down is because, it wanted to seem like it was a regular deal or a deer, but then, it got back up because at this point it figured maybe the situation was dire enough. It's better to be able to run at full speed than be left behind from the rest of the herd. And it was October, so running up on deer season, it could have known that. It could have known.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, even though it's illegal, I mean, we live in New York, and a lot of people
Yeah.
talked about this, is people think New York is just the city, but New York's really, we've got a lot more fields and woods than people know of, and hunters go out with spotlights and spotlight
Yep.
shoot and stuff, from the side of the road. So I mean, maybe it was thinking, hey, this guy, it's pretty late. What are these guys gonna do?
Yeah, and we were driving pretty slow when we saw him. It could have thought maybe we were gonna spotlight him or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's friggin'. So protecting its herd, standing on two. That's just blows my
Yeah,
mind.
like it was the guardian of some kind or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
The way
like a guardian. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's. I'm gonna have to look into that, but I'm sure there's, because I mean, New York has a lot of Native American smaller tribes all throughout the state. I mean, God,
yeah,
it seems like every county is, especially out west, is named after a Native American tribe, and like Onondaga and stuff like that. And
yep,
I'm curious if they have some sort of guardian spirit like that. I know that some use the deer as a totem, but I mean, this blows my mind.
yeah. It blew mine too, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think. I still don't. I mean, I actually don't know what I saw. Still, I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, after tonight, I'm actually contemplating on re-narrating them tomorrow night and putting them up that way people can hear them again, because literally the whole town was, and I'm saying plagued, but it's almost like when this deer man, and that's what it didn't look like a man, it looked like a deer, and standing on two legs. So it's a,
Yeah,
what are you going to call it, a deer man. um and everyone saw this, and I'm going to have to go back and look at all these little accounts and see if there's any kind of similarity to what this thing did, because I don't remember, I mean, it was a couple years ago when I did it, about a year and a
right.
half, 2 years ago. But it was so interesting that so many people saw it. It's mind blowing. It's a whole new cryptid. I mean, even though it's not aggressive, it's a cryptid because we don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, you don't know what you're dealing with, and it's some kind of animal or something out
Yeah.
there, and it hasn't been identified.
The eye shine was the
So,
same way when you came up on it and everything. No difference.
uh, and actually, no, it didn't seem like it had eye shine.
Okay. Could you see
I
eye
didn't
shine
see
from the
any.
other deer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I could
Huh.
see the regular eye shine from them, but I didn't really think of it at the time. But no, I didn't see any eye shine on it.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely look into these these Canadian accounts, because right now, I mean, that was the only time that, I mean, you of course you hear people seeing this and people seeing that, but for a whole town to see it, and then previous to talking to you, I didn't hear the encounter until right now when we're recording it. So it was, I mean, you completely stumped me, and I'm completely fascinated now, like mind blown. But I just
Yeah,
want
and
to,
I've never heard of any of these Canadian ones, so I'm really interested in hearing
yeah, yeah,
what all happened there. So we're
I,
both pretty interested in this then.
yeah, I think what I'll do is, um, I'll upload this, and then the following day I'll share the Canadian encounters. That way, people can kind of get a feel of it. From you, start the little 2 day Deerman expose, I guess. Um,
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, I definitely will be listening to that.
well, like I said, I'll send you the stuff too. That way you can check it out yourself, because I don't want you to wait. I know, if you're
Yeah,
anything like me, you're just gonna want to know, like, oh, he's
yeah,
got
it
new.
will eat at me. I won't lie.
Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview? And do me a favor, don't hang up. when we end the interview, but because I'd like to talk to you for a little bit after. But is there anything that you'd like to say before we end the interview to the channel?
Really, the only thing there is to say is that there's stuff out there and we don't know what it is.
That's
so,
right.
Keep your eyes open and be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Robbie, it was awesome having you on. I appreciate you taking time. Like I said, I mean, you didn't have to come on and share this, but I appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I want people to hear it, and maybe if they've had encounters too, they'll come forward as well.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can all get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, it's not just Sasquatch or Dogman. I mean, people are seeing numerous unexplained things out there that, I mean, the woods are deep. How the heck do we know what really is out there? We don't. There's no
we
way
don't know everything's habits, so it could be living in a way that we just don't understand, so it's been impossible for us to figure out.
Right. Like you said, it acted like a deer. It looked like a deer, it acted like a deer. Someone sees it.
Yeah, if it blends in, you're not going to think of it.
Right on, yeah. So, I mean, and I think it's good that, even if it's not a Dogman encounter, not a Sasquatch encounter, I think it's good that people reach out and share, hey, there's other stuff out there that, are just as frightening or just as mind baffling, so
yeah,
definitely cool.
I totally agree.
But thank you for coming on, and I appreciate it. And so I'm gonna say goodbye to this interview. So really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, of course.
All right, have a good night.
You too, man.
All right, guys, what an amazing interview from the great state of New York. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Your support is what makes this channel special and what continues for it to grow and go. Everyone, thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for making this channel special and for helping it to continue to grow and go. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real, they're out there, and they are dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions and never stop searching for answers.